Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Spangle. I'm a disabled veteran, and I've decided to make a series of videos because of health reasons. I don't get out of the house that much, and I'm not able to attend a church regular like I used to. And so I decided as long as I'm able, I will make these videos to kind of help me healing process dealing with different things like PTSD and depression. And just because a person's part of God's family doesn't mean they don't have issues, because we live in the flesh. So I deal with issues every day just like everybody else. I have issues because of cancer. I survived stage 4 rectal cancer. I have a colostomy bag, unfortunately, it's the rest of my life. So there's a lot of health issues I have that I deal with. Today's subject means a lot to me. All my videos mean a lot. They are my opinion when I understand the Word of God. When I make a video, it's for someone to open their eyes and study themselves. I've had 2 people already that have been blessed, subscribed to my channel. Both are now studying in God's Word. I have a small group watching my videos, but as long as one person's watching it, that matters to me. As long as I reach one for God, that matters. Hopefully more. I'd rather have a few people than have many that it's not doing no good for them. We do not, Jesus died on the cross. He had to be the blood sacrifice. He was sinless so we could be saved. We're not saved through anybody else but Jesus Christ. God loved us so much, became man, flesh, Jesus, and died on the cross. And because of that, we are saved by His grace. I wanted to get in detail. This is a graphic video. I'm going to touch on some pretty graphic things to really show and give understanding what actually Jesus Christ went through and the sufferings that He went through on the cross. So I titled this video, "What Did Jesus Really Suffer on the Cross?" But first I wanted to read, it's a page and a half, unfortunately. I wanted to read the history and pathology of crucifixion. In antiquity, crucifixion was considered one of the most brutal and shameful modes of death. Probably originating with the Assyrians and Babylonians, it was used systematically by the Persians in the 6th century BC. Alexander the Great brought from there to the Eastern Mediterranean countries in the 4th century BC, and the Phoenicians introduced it to Rome in the 3rd century BC. It was virtually never used in pre-Hellenic Greece. The Romans perfected crucifixion for 500 years until it was abolished by Constantine I in the 4th century AD. Crucifixion in Roman times was applied mostly to slaves, disgraced soldiers, Christians, and foreigners, and only very rarely to Roman citizens. Death usually after 6 hours to 4 days was due to multiple pathology. After effects of compulsory scourging and maiming, beating, scourging as in whipping, hemorrhage and dehydration causing hypolemic shock and pain, but the most important factor was progressive asphyxiation caused by impairment of respiratory movement. Result: anorexic exaggeration, hypolemic shock. Death was probably commonly precipitated by cardiac arrest caused by, and I apologize for all these medical terms, vasovagal reflexes initiated in arteria by severe anoxemia, severe pain, body blows, and breaking of large bones. The attending Roman guards could only leave the site after the victim had died, and were known to participate by means of deliberate fracturing of the tibia and or fibula, spear stab wounds into the heart, sharp blows to the front of the chest, or a smoking fire built at the foot of the cross to asphyxiate. A lot of times we see a cross, their arms crossed this way. They had to, each breath, they had to struggle, scraping up and down on that wooden cross, and their legs are crossed, and their feet are at an angle. And the reason for that is you have your legs, you could stand on one leg for a while, relief, stand on This was made to have no relief. And when the legs were crossed and bent at an angle, what they did was take sticks, break the kneecaps, the tibia, the front shin bone, where they break around the knees, takes all your weight down, and you're holding yourself up like, but with all that weight down, you can't pull up to get breath, and basically it causes you to drown and stress on your heart. So I want to get in detail. Like I said, this is pretty gory, but this is what our God suffered. Didn't have to, but this is what he suffered for us. First off, he was innocent of everything that was claimed he was against him. We look at Matthew 27:19 through 26. When he was set down on the judgment seat, that's talking about Pilate, getting ready to judge Jesus, his wife said unto him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with this man, just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. A lot of times they were given custom. If you've got more than one person come up before the judge, they actually can ask for one of them to be released. And Barabbas, we learned through history, was a known serial rapist and possible thief. And they asked, priests and scribes asked for Barabbas to be set free instead of Jesus Christ. The governor answered and said unto them, Were there the twain, meaning two, will ye that I release unto you? And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, What shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? And they all say unto him, Let him be crucified. Remember how horrible that death is I just read to you. And the governor said, Why? What evil had he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult, in other words, the mob was getting crazy, was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Scourge meaning as in they started to beat and whip Jesus. Actually, what the other historical records show, like Josephus' works, is very good historical. Here goes my cat Patches, my little buddy, checking me out. He wants to be in my lap. They took Jesus, and understand that when they beat and whipped him, it's not just lashes on his back with the whip. It was like a cat o' nine tails, where you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 or 7 up to 9, depending on how the whip's made, leather strips. And on these end of these leather strips, they have put anything. They could put nails, glue, have like kind of a glue they used to put on glass, because basically it was to hit and rip. And that's what we get the word flailing from. So basically they flailed him. The other descriptions say they flailed him so bad that he actually saw his back kidneys. They ripped the flesh of his back off. Horrible, painful. Jesus was rejected. John 1:10 through 11. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. God came in man's form, Jesus. Jesus said before, when you look at me, you look upon the Father. He made us. He made the world. He made everything. And yet, they didn't know him. They didn't want to know him. And so a lot of times people deal with things in our lives. Remember, each thing I talk about, people in this world have experienced this. People have been rejected by other people. And what I'm about to say, he was betrayed. People's been betrayed by other people. Listen, Matthew 26:48 through 49. Now he that betrayed him gave him a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, the same is he. Hold fast. And forthward, when he came to Jesus, said, Hail, my master, and kissed him. That was custom. A lot of times they go up and kiss either one side of the cheek or both sides of the cheeks. And it's not a homosexual thing. sin in the world, they'll try to say all sorts of stuff like that. Like I noticed in another video. My cat sees this reflection. That's my little buddy. That's my bodyguard. But he went up as a greeting, as a showing respect, and he betrayed him in such a way. Now remember, Jesus knew what this was going to happen. This is foretold in a video I explained before. This is one of the steps that were prophesied in the Old Testament 400 years before all this happened, and later it came about. Jesus knew what was going to happen. He knew everything. He knew he was going to be betrayed by someone he loved so much. But it had to be done. It was a fulfillment of spiritual prophecy. It also stated he was spit on. Matthew 26:67. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands. And Matthew 27:30. And they spit on him and took the reed and smote him on the head. These are two different versions, same thing, two different people looking at things. One says they spit on him, slapped him, like slapped in the face. And then the other person, they did that and then took a reed or a stick. A lot of times the reed's a little stick with you. And they smote him on the head, not smote and kill him, but they beat him on the head. And remember, they also made a crown of thorns stuck on his head. And one thing you have to realize, people don't think about this. They pulled out his hair. They plucked out his beard. You know, I got a grandson that likes to play with me and pull on Papaw's beard. Especially my goatee. I need to shave, have him shaved for a couple days. My wife don't like the full beard. She likes goatee. Beautiful woman. Awesome. So blessed by her. But my grandson likes to pull on Papaw's, mess with Papaw. That hurts. He pulls on me and is like, wait a minute here. And he giggles like, hey, I got you. But the fact is, it was all plucked out. You know, it just the torture that he done to him. He was mocked. Matthew 27:39-43. And they passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying that thou destroyest the temple and buildest in 3 days. Say thyself, thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise, also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and elders, said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him, and he trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. And Luke's version, 23:35-37, and the people stood beholding, and the rulers unto them derided him, saying, he saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, saying to him, and offering him vinegar, and saying, if thou be the King of the Jews, save thyself. So they mocked him. But what the priest talked about was how he'll build the temple down and tear the temple down and raise it up. That was the teaching of Christ. Well, he is. He's going through his body, the temple is being destroyed, and he will be raised up in 3 days. But they're ignorant of his own teachings, and he talked openly to them. So remember, so he was mocked, beaten, rejected. We've all dealt different things in life, maybe relationships where you were rejected or something, or betrayed. Someone who's with someone and that person cheated on you, that's a betrayal. Or someone said they were your friend and did something behind your back, that's a betrayal. He suffered all this to the max. You know, he suffered and experienced everything. And I believe the reason for this, so God became flesh to know everything of the flesh, to overcome the flesh. That's why he suffered all these things, to give understanding what we suffer in our lifetimes. I have a reference on the time of the cross, a rough reference on how long he was on the cross. Remember, he was beaten. By this time, he had lost so much blood. He was anemic. He had to help carry his cross. He had to help someone carry his cross. And it says in Luke 23:44-46, and it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth, and until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. So the 6th to the 9th hour, we know there's 3 to 4 counting. You're starting at the 6th, and you're ending at the 9th, so that's an hour there. So you're looking at the 6th. Oh man, thinking 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 hours, counting the 6 and 7. So you're looking at 4 hours at least that he was on the cross. Now the witnesses, and this is very important and explains everything. Those that witnessed. Matthew 27:50 through 54. Jesus said when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost, gave his spirit up, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain, meaning two, from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept rose. And it came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him, watching Jesus, saw the earthquake and these things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly this was the Son of God. There's a lot of historical facts. I did not write it down. I apologize. I think last minute. I'm trying this video at night. Lee Strobel wrote a book called The Case for Christ. He was an atheist. His wife and daughter started going to church. And he as he says, I saw him in an interview where he dealt with them for a while. And he was a journalist, but he also was a lawyer. So he decided over a weekend to prove Christianity is based on one thing, the death of Jesus Christ. If he could prove that Jesus died and stayed dead and then come back to life, there goes all Christianity. It's debunked, as you would say. Well, instead of doing it over a weekend, it took him 2 years, and he wrote the book. And he used all kinds of, he was an investigative journalist, so he investigated everything. And in the end, he became a Christian. He's well known. He's done the case of Christ, Jesus Christ. He's the case for Jesus Christ. I think he wrote another book called The Case for God. And I don't know how many other books he's written. He's been on TV talking different things. But he tried to disprove and turn around with Sage because he came to know Jesus. Because he used a lot of historical documentation, and there's a lot of documentation. You got to think, these people, the graves were opened up. Over 500 people came back to life. Just think about it. They came out and witnessed and talked about everything. There was no doubt. There was no doubt who Jesus was at that moment. You know, later he's resurrected in 3 days, and then he came and visited people. When I was a young man and studying, I heard he came back, and I thought they saw him go up in the cloud. But he visited for 40 days. He visited, walked, and talked to his apostles. And that's the reason why the apostles, like in my last video I talked about, were willing to give and die horribly willing to be martyred for Jesus Christ, because they knew and witnessed. They believed so much. There's one thing between a quick death and a slow death. And I know this video wasn't very long, but there's not more detail to get into it, make it more gory. But Jesus Christ could have stepped off that cross at any time. He had power and authority, and he could have just stopped. He could have called a legion of angels down, destroyed everybody. He could do all sorts of stuff. Instead, he suffered. I'm not capable of suffering that. I've dealt with radiation treatments, chemo treatments for my cancer. That radiation is the roughest thing. Years ago, I had a kidney stone that got stuck. Had to go to the hospital for that. That was bad. You know, I've had a few broken bones, dislocated knee, wonderful military service I've been in, retired military. But nothing, you know, the radiation was horrible for me. But none of it compared to what Jesus Christ went through. And I cannot imagine. I lost my voice for 2 weeks. I was taking morphine pills through my radiation treatments, chemo treatments for my cancer, like candy. And we had 2 bathrooms, and I was going to the bathroom, and it's for my operations. And I remember my daughter coming by, and my wife telling me my daughter just broke down in tears because I would scream when I used the restroom. My tumor was passing through just blood, and it was a horrible situation. I'm sorry, it's graphic, but it's the truth. It was horrible. And I lost my voice for good 2 weeks where I couldn't hardly talk because of the pain. And I spent a lot of years in the military. I love martial arts training. I've done it since I was a young man. I've done all kinds of boxing, taekwondo. I've done grappling. I got a belt in Ryukyu Kempo, We also built Taekwondo. I got belts in 2 systems. But my point is, when you do that training, it's physical and you deal with pain. And that radiation pain would just, for me, it was a kicker. And that's nothing compared to what Jesus suffered. I cannot comprehend. That's the reason why I want to do this video, just to give a little touch, inkling to you, to make you open your eyes a little bit and say, hey, wait, he suffered this for me. No one else has done it. No one else is capable. I've done POW training in the military. I worked on a POW camp. We built one. And later, we did some POW training. And I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of films. And nothing compares to, when people give things up. I've dealt with POWs, got information from them. Some of them just like nothing. They'll give information out to you. But my point is, we have a breaking point. And Jesus Christ went beyond that, beyond what any man could do. Because any minute he could step back and say, I'm done. You're not worth it. But he didn't. He loved us so much. And there's anger, and there's righteous anger. And I get angry with people sometimes when they talk about Jesus like it's nothing. They mock him. There's been many times I've been places talking to people everywhere, and people mock me. I got people in my own family that mock me when I talk about God. They're quick to mock and make fun and poke. And I'm thinking, they don't get it. They're blinded. And when they do get it, it's going to be too late. I've had people tell me, say, well, I hear about this rapture of the church. Once the rapture happens, I'll believe. Well, you know what? It's too late. Because after the rapture, it talks about a great deception. And you'll be given over to a reprobate mind, if I say that correctly. There'll be people saved during the tribulation. But this person here that was told and told and told, he may not. He may have lost it. I don't know. That's up to God. I don't know who goes. I'm not God. It's a choice. You choose to be with God or not. He doesn't send you to hell. You choose it. And that's an argument I have with a lot. Well, I try not to argue, but I disagree with a lot of people because they're like, oh, such a just God. He would punish this good person. Well, we live in the flesh. None of them's good. None of us are good. I'm not good. We're not worthy enough for heaven. That's the reason why Jesus Christ came and made that sacrifice, that blood sacrifice on the cross for us. We're not capable of it. So I'm thankful and grateful to have a God that loves me so much and made himself flesh, lowered himself here. I'm here. He lowered himself to flesh level to suffer all this for us. And people that complain in their life, this is going wrong, that's going wrong. There's nothing compared to what Jesus went through that we have in our lives. It'd be similar. Someone could have betrayed you, or you're being mocked by people, or someone physically hurt you or anything. Still doesn't compare to the extremities he had. I love God. I'm glad I made this video. It says a short one. Hopefully this will open your eyes a little bit and look on your own. Instead, just open your eyes what our God did for us because of his love. Like I said, it bothers me when people are like, well, God don't really like, yes, he loves. He knows when someone's suffering. He knew I had my cancer. He knows when a child suffers. He knows if a child's suffering with cancer, or if a child's in an abusive home being beaten, or if a woman's being raped. God knows all this. And we all will answer to God for what we do. Period. You can't hide nothing. People think they're getting by with things. It's only temporary. This world is temporary. The flesh is temporary. And I thank God and I look forward to being in heaven. And the reason I'm going to heaven is not because of anything I've done. I'm a weak man. I'm a sinful man. But I believe Jesus Christ was God in man's form, came here, died on the cross, made that blood sacrifice, died so I can, he was the pure sacrifice I wasn't capable of doing myself because of his love. I have faith in him. I'm repentive, very repentive of my sinful nature. I pray daily, and I'm repentive of my sinful nature. I was baptized. Baptism does not save me. It was just my next step, my witnessing or commitment. as more as what baptism is. It's commitment. And I committed, made that commitment. The Holy Ghost is in me, and I'm saved by God's grace, not by anything old John Spangle can do. I'm saved by the grace of God. And because of that, I'm thankful. And I pray that you like this video, and we'll look at, tell somebody about it, maybe get some more people to subscribe to the channel, and study on your own.